Good morning, everyone. A little bit of a flap here, nothing much. No coffee. I'm pretty saturated with coffee this morning. I had 3 cups with my breakfast. A little bit of an update on the car. It's kind of a fiasco right here, what's going on with the car. We'll point you out the window here. Watch the traffic go by. Nice cloudy day, not hot. Yesterday was not too comfortable, so I didn't feel like doing a flap. Yesterday, being Wednesday, a lot was going on yesterday. I went down to that one-man show garage to check on the car again, and I was all ready to tell him, you've had the car for a week and a half, and other than doing a little bit on it, you're not doing it. And I know you told me you're a one-man show, but I need the car this week, which is the week now. That was yesterday. Well, before I can even get out saying that, and I'm glad I didn't, he's very nice young fella, about mid-30s, I would say. He just says, I'm sorry, I think you better take it somewhere else. He says, I'm all by myself here. I got a lot of work, and I don't know when I can get at it. Personally, I don't think he can find a problem, or doesn't want to take the time because he's got other vehicles in there. And when he has been working on it, it's outside, because it has to be pushed in, and he's all by himself and is not able to do that. So, okay. So he says, you better take it to someone else. And I says, well, in my area here, what would be a good place? What would you recommend? Because there is a garage that's 2 miles further out from my house, actually 2 miles from the garage that I brought it to, but they're very, very, very expensive. It would cost me double what anyone else would charge, because it's very high price, so I'm not going to go to that. But that's the only local garage that would do that around this area. So he gave me a name of another garage. Unfortunately, it's about 20-25 miles from here. Not quite as far as Jewett City, but pretty close. So at the time, the nurse was over at the house to tend to my wife, and I was telling my wife, I says, I just came in the door, and the nurse came in shortly afterwards, and I told my wife I just got back from the local garage over here, and I told her all about the situation with the car, and it has to go to someone else. And so I says I'm going to probably call AAA to pick it up from this garage and bring it up to the other one that's about 20-25 miles from here. And the nurse spoke up and said, AAA will not do that. They've dropped it off one time at this garage. They're not going to come and get it from here and bring it to another garage. AAA don't work that way. So maybe the nurse had some experience with AAA. I don't know. So I said to my wife, I said, you know what? I had to wait 4 hours last time for AAA to pick it up from my yard. I'm not waiting 4 hours again. I says, we'll pay the damn the towing service from the garage that it's going to now, which is, like I say, about 20-25 miles from here. So it'll probably cost about $150 to tow it. Story of our lives anyways. We need the car. So we have to cancel a bunch of doctor's appointments coming up next week. We're going to do that. We have no choice. Without the car, we can't get her up there, and we don't have the wheelchair yet. We don't have the senior transportation wheelchair van yet because we don't have the wheelchair. So it's all in paperwork. So, the guy was real nice at the one-man show. He says, Bill, I'm not going to charge you anything. He says, I'll put back the spark coil back in, whatever you call them things. We'll call it the ignition coil, because I'm from the old school. And the crank sensor. I'll put it all back in. There was nothing wrong with them. We'll put them all back in. I just got to take the battery out so that I can get at the crank sensor. And I'll call you when it's ready. Oh, and about an hour later, he called and said it's all ready to go. So I contacted this other garage and explained the whole thing. And he says, I can get down there at noontime. That was yesterday, and pick it up. When I drove by, it was gone. It was picked up, and it's already at the new garage. So, we're going to find out what it is. He says, I've got 2 mechanics on duty. So there should be no problem with that. I told him what the other fella did, and he said, well, we'll check it out and see. And that's where we're at right now. The only problem I'm going to have is picking the car up. And he told me, because my wife can't drive now, and I don't think she's ever going to be able to drive again, because her legs are swollen, she can hardly walk. So I'm afraid she's not. When we get the minivan back, I'm the only one using it, sadly. As long as I'm able to still drive, that's fine. So, get you a little change of scenery here. So I told him, I says, I have one problem, and that is when it's time to pick up the van. And he says, well, we can set you up with Uber and put it on the bill. Now, I've never taken an Uber drive in my life. So that means when it's time to pick up the car, he'd send an Uber driver over to pick me up, take me up to the garage to get the car, and it'll be on the bill, whatever that's going to be for the car repair. I don't know about tipping the guy. I don't know anything about that. I haven't taken a taxi cab in probably since the late 70s. That's the last time I think I've ever took a taxi cab, never mind an Uber driver, so we don't know what that's going to be. We got the towing, but they picked it up quick. Otherwise, I'd still be standing out there waiting for AAA to pick it up. So, right now, it's up there and got to wait for a call back. So, that's the story on that. So, I've been very busy with those phone calls and stuff. And when I hear the updates and the price and stuff, I'll let you know. But I am figuring on the worst. It's going to be well over $1,000. Well over that. Especially if it's the wiring and the computer. I don't think it would be both, but it's looking more in my book, and I could be wrong. It's either the computer. Now, the computer is near the battery. It is not the transmission computer. It is the main computer. The very, very, very expensive thing on the car. The most expensive thing on the car, I think that and the transmission and engine. So, it's still cheaper than buying another car because we got that. My wife told me we bought that 9 years ago. Has it been that long? A 2003 Dodge Caravan, we paid $1,100 from a good friend of ours who kept it garaged. Now it's all rotted out underneath from the road salts. And it's got over 230,000 miles on it, I think, now. We got 123,000 when we bought it. So you ain't going to get a car that's going to run. You might get something that you're going to have to pour another $1,000, $2,000 into it. If you're not going to get a car for $1,000. So if we have to pay $1,000 or $1,500, it's still cheaper than buying another car. And that's just the way it is. So that's where we're at right now. And my wife agrees with me 100%. You're not going to get a car. I can't deal, and I'm not going to fight the damn motor vehicle sitting there for hours and hours and hours going through the motor vehicle. That's why a lot of people go to dealers and let the dealers handle all the paperwork, and all you do is go and pick the car up. But you pay thousands more for that. So you get a newer car, and I say 2003 to us is pretty new. This is a 90 right here. So you get another one, you're going to have computer problems with it. You're going to have all kinds of... The newer the car is, the more sensors it has in it, the more the more it has in it for computer-operated things. Each new gadget that the car has is money, 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 money. Now, for years I've always loved the old cars, and I still do. Now, the fact that my wife probably will never be able to drive again because of a physical disability. She's got a lot of fluid buildup in her legs and her feet, really, really, really swelled bad. And they're doing everything they can, and we're just taking it one day at a time. So, me, I don't have any problem driving standard. I've done it all my life. My wife can't drive standard. My wife can't climb up into this anymore. This used to be her baby years ago. This is what she used to call the pigmobile, because she used to collect piggies. And, it's a good old van. It runs great. I just had to put gas in it, $35 worth of gas. It took 9 gallons. At $3.41 a gallon right now. That's not too bad for Connecticut. So she used to drive this all the time, but she can't step up in it anymore. She can just barely get into the minivan. So if it gets to a point where they tell me that it's $3,000 or $4,000 to fix the car, then we're going to have to just get rid of the car. Oh, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But that would be our luck. I mean, that minivan, like this one, has mice in it in the past. They get in the engine compartment. I got all those green killer poison blocks. They just chew on them and go on their way. It doesn't seem to affect them. We get them at, the Tomcat. They don't seem to work. I put dryer sheets in there, and they still get into the van. So they could have peed on the computer harness where the plug goes into the computer. It could have peed on some of the wires in there and corroded everything. We don't know. On the other hand, it could be the computer itself, and they also told me that they rebuild them. They'd have to send them out and rebuild. Or I guess they could get a new one and program it for the car. But it's going to be over $1,000. I know it's going to be. So we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. I just wanted to give you an update on things. And pretty much that's it. Um, on the power supply, my battery died as I showed in the video. However, I didn't do any more on the power supply, the homemade experimentation. I'm probably not going to go buying a 9-volt regulator and then figuring out what kind of circuit is going to have to go with that. I think I'm going to experiment some more, but we're not doing it now because I got to see what's going to happen with the car. But I will get back on that project one way or the other. I'll do some more experimentation. But I think what's going to happen is I'm just going to go on eBay and order a damn lousy, noisy switching power supply. It's probably going to be cheaper than me to go out to buy a 9-volt regulator, try to design a circuit that will be reliable, buy the heavy diodes I need, which I would guess that I would need at least 10 amp diodes, low voltage but 10 amps, which diodes are cheap, but I probably won't want to bother doing that just for the damn dehumidifier in the shop. I'd rather just throw it on something and just let it run. In wintertime I won't need it anyways. Okay, that's it. That's the update today for today's video. You take care, everybody. Thanks for watching, and whatever it is you do, don't put off tomorrow what you can do today, because you might like it today, and you may just want to do the whole damn thing all over again tomorrow. Good day. Update. News break. I just got home, and my wife says the new garage that I bought the car to called, and they want me to call them. So I said, oh boy. Well, I called them, and they told me there was a bad ground inside the computer. I can fix it and get you up and running right now. Can't guarantee that it's gonna, you're not gonna have other problems. A rebuilt computer is $500. That's a lot cheaper than I thought it would be. I thought it would be $1,000, $1,500. So I said, can you put a rebuilt in that? Replace it, because they could give me trouble again. And if we can do that, and I can program it. However, I don't know if I can program the whole thing. It may have to go to a dealer. I said, well, I don't want to deal with any dealers. It's very difficult for me to do these things and get out there and get in transportation to and from the place, because my wife don't drive anymore. So he says, I'll do it all. He says $500 for the computer plus my labor, and whatever if he's going to charge me. Very nice. I think that's the way we are. I told him we're going to go that way. Let's replace the computer with the rebuilt. We don't have any more problem with that. He says getting a new one, they don't make them anymore, so they can rebuild it or get a rebuilt already done. Because if he fixes the ground in it, they don't guarantee that something else is going to go. Your electrolytics in them things start seeping and ruining the board and everything else. So better off getting it rebuilt and assuming everything is done inside the unit correctly by the rebuilders. Should be okay. So that was fast. I just brought the car to him. I had it picked up yesterday. That's what I call service. So this is a little update to add to the video that I just made. Give you more updates when the time comes. Stay tuned.